You will see me mix some wild colors here in a minute. I had no plan going into this. That is not necessarily a good thing. I'd had this sitting on my desk for like 2 weeks and I hadn't done anything with it, so I said, I don't care what you do, self. Just put some paint on this paper, and so I did. And you can see me choosing some pretty bold colors. And I actually hate using really saturated colors. Then why did you do this? I don't know. So as soon as I was about here, I noticed there was a lot going on, and I was going to have to live with it for the duration of the painting. And I was trying not to think of it as a mistake I'd made, like, oh man, like my lack of planning made me choose these terrible colors and now the whole thing is just a disaster. I was trying to avoid that mindset, even though it was sort of in the back of my head. My goal was like, I made this decision. What can I do about it? So, my solution was, let's crank up the saturation, do a little bit of rim lighting, or excuse me, not the saturation, the contrast. Let's try to just make his clothes like really dark, like this is kind of a sunset sort of a deal. We can decide later how well I did that. Other things to note. The sketch itself also has a lot going on, the color choice notwithstanding. I was fiddling with this for so long. It started as him actually like sitting on the ground at an angle with his arms propped on his knees, but I hate legs. Legs still confuse me a lot, and so do complicated angles, so having the combination of both of those things just wasn't working. The top half of his body was looking okay, and then the bottom half was just looking like a kindergartner had drawn it, and I was like, I can't handle it. So, solution after a really long time was like, okay, he's leaning on something. Tried leaning on the back of a chair. Couldn't, that was an even worse choice. That was just making more complicated legs for myself. We're not doing that. So I went with this instead. Leaning on railing sort of a thing. It's better. Legs are still questionable, and the torso angle confused me so badly. The hand angles are also a little weird. I also chose to, as you can see, have a lot going on, like with his rolled up sleeves so that you can see his scar and all of his scarfy thing and his goggles. Just apparently this was the put everything in this piece. So we're just gonna live with that. I did my best. Going back to the color, it actually, at this point, I was starting to feel more okay about it. Adding that line of really, really dark indigo at the top to make the gradient a lot more dramatic as I was darkening the clothes gave me a moment of like, okay, we might have problem solved this. I hope we've problem solved this. Every time I would check in the little viewfinder recorder of my camera to make sure I'm still recording because my phone doesn't have much space left on it, it would look a little bit more saturated, and so I would come back in and add more layers, add more layers, add more layers. I was thinking a lot about his hair when I was doing this. My brain only understands shadows in a particular direction. So like, as you can see, the right side of his hair, his right, our left, I was doing pretty good defining that. Getting some like nice shape to his hair, and then if you look over on his left, it's kind of like, what happened? What happened is that side confuses me. You could also see me playing a little bit the same thing with like the shadows on the clothing. I was doing that sort of zigzaggy thing. It was an aha moment for me because I've still really struggle with folds on clothing. And even though I kind of ended up blotting most of those little zigzag folds out, it gave me a moment of understanding. When I was recording this, I thought that I painted pretty fast. I did not. This is actually one of the longer things or things that has taken me longer, rather, to paint. I don't know if it was because I just kept adding more layers to get more saturation and hope that my strategy was working, but actually isn't looking so bad right here. Oh dear masking fluid, how I both love and hate you. I did the off pink thing again to kind of tie in the bottom right pinkish reddish color that I used in the gradient. You can definitely tell on this one, and I like how it looks on this one. And there's his yellow goggles, which kind of gives your eye a nice little focal point, because for a while I was like, everything is the exact same contrast, and it just doesn't look good, and I'm not happy with it. But I'm reasonably happy with it in the end result. So that's something, I suppose. It's very stormy, which was maybe kind of the only thing that I had going into this, because it rained today and that doesn't happen very often. But then I just threw caution to the wind and slapped a whole bunch of colors on that bad boy. This bad boy can fit so many color gradients. Okay, thank you for watching. I will probably make another one of these because I enjoy doing it, so if you do as well, great. We both benefit. This is a symbiotic relationship. And here I am still messing with saturation, like I took the masking fluid off because I decided I was done, and then I decided I wasn't done. Much like this voice recording, I keep thinking I'm finished and I need to tie it off. Oh, there we go. Alright, bye friends.